So this is the Ballad of Liberation from the Khandas by Lumpu Man. If I remember correctly, this was after Lumpu Man had passed and they were taking care of the things that he had left behind. They had found some papers in his handwriting, essentially. And what follows is this ballad, and it begins: once there was a man who loved himself. And this was already a popular poem, I believe, by a monk from the time, and Lumpu Man sort of riffed off of the beginning of this poem and added his own reflections that, unsurprisingly, people, it's a much more deeper perspective into the nature of the Khandas than the previous poem. So yeah, this is the Ballad of Liberation from the Khandas by Acharya Man. I pay homage to the one well gone, the foremost teacher, the Sakyan sage, the rightly self-awakened one, and to the 9 transcendent Dhammas and to the noble Sangha. I will now give a brief exposition of the Dhamma Khandas as far as I understand them. Once there was a man who loved himself and feared distress. He wanted happiness beyond the reach of danger, so he wandered endlessly. Wherever people said that happiness was found, he longed to go. But wandering took a long, long time. He was the sort of man who loved himself and really dreaded death. He truly wanted release from aging and mortality. Then one day he came to know the truth, abandoning the cause of suffering and compounded things. He found a cave of wonders of endless happiness, the body. As he gazed throughout the cave of wonders, his suffering was destroyed, his fears appeased. He gazed and gazed around the mountainside, experiencing unbounded peace. He feared if he were to go and tell his friends, they'd say he'd gone insane. He'd better stay alone, engaged in peace, abandoning his thoughts of contact, than to roam around a sycophant, both criticized and flattered, exasperated and annoyed. But then there was another man afraid of death, his heart all withered and discouraged. He came to me and spoke frankly in a pitiful way. He said, "You've made an effort at your meditation for a long time now. Have you seen it yet? The true Dhamma of your dreams." Huh? How is it that he knows my mind? He asked to stay with me, so I agreed. I'll take you to a massive mountain with a cave of wonders, free from suffering and stress, mindfulness immersed in the body. You can view it at your leisure to cool your heart and end your troubles. This is the path of the noble lineage. It's up to you to go or not. I'm not deceiving or compelling you, just telling you the truth for what it is. And then I challenged him with riddles. First, what runs? What runs quickly is vijnana, movements walking in a row, one after another. Not doubting that sannyas are right, the heart gets caught up in running back and forth. Sannyas grab hold of things outside and pull them in to fool the mind, making it think in confusion and go out searching, wandering astray. They fool it with various dhammas like a mirage. What gains total release from the 5 khandas? The heart, of course, and the heart alone. It doesn't grasp or get entangled. No more poison or possessiveness. No more delusion. It stands alone. No sannyas can fool it into following along behind them. When they say there's death, what dies? Sankharas die, destroying their effects. What connects the mind into the cycle? The tricks of sanya make it spin. The mind goes wrong because it trusts its sannyas, attached to its likes, leaving this plane of being, going to that, wandering till it's dizzy, forgetting itself, completely obscure to itself. No matter how hard it tries to find the Dhamma, it can't catch a glimpse. What ferrets out the Dhamma? The heart ferrets it out, trying to find out how sannyas say good and grasp it bad, and force it to fasten on loving and hating. To eat once and never look for more? The end of wanting to look, to know, to hope for knowing more, the end of entanglements. The mind sits still on its dice, discarding its attachments. A 4-sided pool brimming full? The end of desire, abandoning doubt, clean, without a moat, and danger-free. Sannyas settle out. Sankharas don't disturb it. The heart is thus brimming, with nothing lacking. Quiet and still, the mind has no lamenting thoughts. Something worth admiring day after day. Even if one were to gain heavenly treasures by the millions, they'd be no match for the true knowing that abandons all sankharas, the crucial thing, the ending of desire. Labels stay in their own sphere and don't intrude. The mind, unenthralled with anything, stops its struggling. Like taking a mirror to look at your own reflection, don't get attached to the sannyas, which are like the image. Don't get intoxicated with the issues of sankharas. When the heart moves, you can catch sight of the unadulterated heart. You know for sure that the movement is in yourself because it changes. Inconstancy is a feature of the heart itself. No need to criticize anyone else. You know the different sorts of khandas in the moving of the mind. Before, I used to think that sannyas were the heart, labeling outer and inner, which is why I was fooled. Now the heart's in charge, with no concerns, no hopes of relying on any one sanya at all. Whatever arises or passes away, there's no need to be possessive of sannyas or to try to prevent them. Like climbing to the top of a truly tall mountain and looking at the lowlands below, seeing every living being. Way up high, looking back, you see all your affairs from the very beginning, forming a path like stairs. Does the rise and fall of the river accord with the truth? You can't remedy the changing of sankharas, fashioned by kama. They're out to spite no one. If you grasp hold of them, to push them this way and that, the mind has to become defiled and wrong. Don't think of resisting the natural way of all things. Let good and evil follow their own affairs. We simply free ourselves. Unentangled in sankharas, that's what's peaceful and cool. When you know the truth, you have to let go of sankharas as soon as you see they're changing. When you weary of them, you let them go easily, with no need to be forced. The Dhamma is cooling, the mind will stop being subjected to things. The 5 duties complete? Khandas divide the issues of fashioning into 5 realms, each filled with its duties and affairs, with no room for any other. Because their hands are full, no room even for fortune, status, praise, pleasure, loss of fortune, loss of status, criticism, pain. They let each of these follow its own nature in line with its truth. The mind's not entangled with any of these 8, because physical khandas keep creating aging and illness without pause. The mental khandas never rest. They work like motors because they must take on the kama of what they have done. Good things make them enthralled and happy. Bad things agitate and darken the heart, making it think without stop, as if it were a flame. The mind is defiled and dull. Its loves and hates are things it has thought up on its own, so who else can it blame? Do you want to escape aging and death? It's beyond the range of possibility, as when we want the mind to stop wandering around and thinking, when we want it to stay at one, and we hope to depend on its stillness. The mind is something that changes, totally uncertain. Sannyas stay in place only from time to time. Once we grow wise to the nature of all 5 khandas, the mind will be clear and clean, free from stain with no more issues. If you can know in this way, it's superlative, because you see the truth, withdraw, and gain release. That's the end of the path. You don't resist the natural way of the truth of things, poverty and wealth, good and bad, in line with events both within and without. All have to pass and vanish. You can't grasp hold of anything at which the mind takes aim. Now, when the mind's inconstant on its own, a quiver, quick, and you catch sight of it, that's when you find the ultimate ease. Small things obscure our knowledge of the large. The khandas totally obscure the Dhamma, and that's where we go wrong. We waste our time in watching khandas so that we don't see the Dhamma that, though greater than the khandas, seems like dust. There is, there isn't, yet there is. Here I'm totally stymied and can't figure it out. Please explain what it means. There is birth of various causes and effects, but they are not beings, they all pass away. This is clear, the meaning of the first point, there is, there isn't. The second point, there isn't, yet there is. This refers to the deep Dhamma, the end of all 3 levels of existence. When there are no sankharas, and yet there is the stable Dhamma. This is the singular Dhamma, truly solitary. The Dhamma is one and unchanging, excelling all being, extremely still, the object of the unmoving heart, still and at respite, quiet and clear, no longer intoxicated, no longer feverish, its desires all uprooted, its uncertainties shed, its entanglement with the khandas all ended and appeased, the gears of the three levels of the cosmos all broken, overweening desire thrown away, its loves brought to an end, with no more possessiveness, all troubles cured as the heart had aspired. Please explain the mind's path in yet another way, and the cause of suffering in the mind that obscures the Dhamma. The cause is enormous, but to put it briefly, it's the love that puts a squeeze on the heart, making it concern for the khandas. If the Dhamma is with the heart throughout time, that's the end of attachment, with no more cause for suffering. Remember this, it's the path of the mind. You won't have to wander, spinning around till you're dizzy. The mind, when the Dhamma's not always with it, gets attached to its likes, concern for the khandas, sunk in the cause of suffering. So, in brief, there's suffering, and there's the Dhamma, always with the mind. Contemplate this until you see the truth, and the mind will be completely cool. However great the pleasure or pain, they'll cause you no fear. No longer drunk with the cause of suffering, the mind's well gone. Knowing just this much is enough to soothe your fevers and to rest from your search for a path to release. The mind knowing the Dhamma forgets the mind attached to dust. The heart knowing the Dhamma of ultimate ease sees for sure that the khandas are always stressful. The Dhamma stays as the Dhamma. The khandas stay as khandas. That's all. And as for the phrase, cool, at ease, and freed from fever, this refers to the mind that's rescued itself from the addictive error of correcting other things. The sankhara aggregate offers no pleasure and truly is painful, for it has to age, grow ill, and die every day. When the mind knows the unexcelled Dhamma, it extracts itself from its defiling error that aggravates disease. This error is a fierce fault of the mind. But when it clearly sees the Dhamma, it removes its error, and there's no more poison in the heart. When the mind sees the Dhamma, abundantly good and released from error, meeting the Dhamma, it sheds all things that would make it restless. It's mindful, in and of itself, and unentangled. Its love for the khandas comes to an end. Its likes are cured, its worries cease, all dust is gone. Even if the mind thinks in line with its nature, we don't try to stop it, and when we don't stop it, it stops running wild. This frees us from turmoil, knowing that evil comes from resisting the truth. Evil comes from not knowing. If we can close the door on stupidity, there's ultimate ease. All evil grows silent, perfectly still. All the khandas are suffering with no pleasure at all. Before I was stupid and in the dark, as if I were in a cave. In my desire to see the Dhamma, I tried to grab hold of the heart to still it. I grabbed hold of mental labels, thinking that they were the heart, until it became a habit. Doing this, I was long enthralled with watching them. Wrong mental labels obscured the mind, and I was deluded into playing around with the khandas. Poor me. Exalting myself endlessly, I went around passing judgment on others, but accomplishing nothing. Looking at the faults of others embitters the heart, as if we were to set ourselves on fire, becoming sooty and burned. Whoever's right or wrong, good or bad, that's their business. Ours is to make sure the heart looks after itself. Don't let unskillful attitudes buzz around it and land. Make it consummate in merit and skill, and the result will be peace. Seeing others as bad and oneself as good is a stain on the heart, for one latches onto the khanda that holds to that judgment. If you latch onto the khandas, they'll burn you for sure, for aging, defilement, and death will join in the fray, full of anger and love, obvious faults, worries, sorrows, and fears. While the 5 forms of sensuality bring in their multifarious troops, we gain no release from suffering and danger because we hold to the 5 khandas as ours. Once you see your error, don't delay. Keep constant watch on the inconstancy of sankharas. When the mind gets used to this, you're sure to see the singular Dhamma solitary in the mind. Inconstancy refers to the heart as it moves from its labels. When you see this, watch it again and again, right at the moving. When all external objects have faded away, the Dhamma will appear. When you see that Dhamma, you recover from mental unrest. The mind then won't be attached to dualities. Just this much truth can end the game. Knowing, not knowing, that's the method for the heart. Once we see through inconstancy, the mind source stops creating issues. All that remains is the primal mind, true and unchanging. Knowing the mind source brings release from all worry and error. If you go out to the mind ends, you're immediately wrong. Darkness comes from the mind possessive of what's good. This possessiveness is thought up by the mind ends. The mind source is already good when the Dhamma appears, erasing doubt. When you see the superlative Dhamma surpassing the world, all your old confused searchings are uprooted and let go. The only suffering left is the need to sleep and eat in line with events. The heart stays, tamed, near the mind source, thinking, yet not dwelling on its thoughts. The nature of the mind is that it has to think, but when it senses the mind source, it's released from its sorrows, secluded from disturbances, and still. The nature of sankharas, when they appear, is to vanish. They all decay, none remain. Beware of the mind when you focus on making it refined, for you'll tend to force it to get stuck on the stillness. Get the heart to look again and again at its inconstancy until it's a habit. When you reach, oh, it will come on its own. Awareness of the heart's song, like a mirage. The Buddha says the corruptions of insight disguise themselves as true, when actually they're not. The awareness of mental phenomena that comes on its own is direct vision, not like hearing and understanding on the level of questioning. The analysis of phenomena, mental and physical, is also not vision that comes on its own. So look, the awareness that comes on its own is not the thought song, knowing the mind source and mind moments. The source mind is released from sorrow. The mind source's certain automatic knowledge of sankharas, the affairs of change, is not a matter of parading out to see or know a thing. It's also not a knowledge based on labeling in pairs. The mind knows itself from the motion of the song. The mind's knowledge of the motion is simply adjacent mind moments. In fact, they can't be divided. They're all one and the same. When the mind is two, that's called sanya, entangling things. Inconstancy is itself, so why focus on anyone else? When the heart sees its own decayings, it's released from darkness. It loses its taste for them and abandons its doubts. It stops searching for things within and without. Its attachments all fall away. It leaves its love and hates. Whatever weighs it down, it can end its desires. Its sorrows all vanish, together with the weighty cares that made it moan. As if a shower of rain were to refresh the heart, the cool heart is realized by the heart itself. The heart is cool, for it has no need to wander around looking at people. Knowing the mind source in the present, it's unshakable and unconcerned with any good or evil, for they must pass away with all other impediments. Perfectly still, the mind source neither thinks nor interprets. It stays only with its own affairs. No expectations, no need to be entangled or troubled, no need to keep up its guard. Sitting or lying down, one thinks at the source mind, released. Your explanation of the path is penetrating, so encompassing and clear. Just one more thing. Please explain in detail the mind unreleased from the cause of suffering. The cause of suffering is attachment and love, extremely enthralled, creating new states of being without wearying. On the lower level, the stains are the 5 strands of sensuality. On the higher level, attachment to jhana. In terms of how these things act in the mind, it's all an affair of being enthralled with sankharas, enthralled with all that have happened for a long, long time. Seeing them as good, nourishing the heart on error, making it branch out in restless distraction. Smitten by error with no sense of shame, enthralled with admiring whatever it fancies, enthralled to the point where it forgets itself and loses its sense of danger. Enthralled with viewing the faults of others, upset by their evil, not seeing its own faults as anything at all. No matter how great the faults of others, they can't make us fall into hell, while our own faults can take us to the severest hell straight away, even if they aren't very defiling at all. So keep watch on your faults until it comes naturally. Avoid those faults, and you're sure to see happiness free from the danger and fear. When you see your faults clearly, cut them right away. Don't dawdle or delay, or you'll never be rid of them. Wanting what's good without stop, that's the cause of suffering. It's a great fault, the strong fear of bad. Good and bad are poisons to the mind, like foods that inflame a high fever. The Dhamma isn't clear because of our basic desire for good. Desire for good, when it's great, drags the mind into turbulent thought until the mind gets inflated with evil, and all its defilements proliferate. The greater the error, the more they flourish, taking one further and further away from the genuine Dhamma. This way of explaining the cause of suffering chastens my heart. At first, the meaning was tattered and tangled, but when you explained the path, my heart didn't move. At respite, still, and at peace, reaching an end at last. This is called the attainment of liberation from the Khandas, a Dhamma that remains in place with no coming or going, a genuine nature, the only one, with nothing to make it stray or spin. With that, the tale is ended. Right or wrong, please ponder with discernment till you know. So that was the ballad of liberation of the Khandas. It's 6:23, so I think I have a little bit more time to read a small excerpt from Stillness Flowing. It's essentially about Lumpal Cha getting stuck on a perception that was coming up in his meditation, and so he traveled to a mountain to seek advice from Ajahn Wang, and I just really like the story, and it's quite short, so I can read this and then you can direct your questions to the senior Ajahns. So this is the section in Stillness Flowing that starts Langka Mountain. At the end of the retreat, the resident Sangha prepared to set off on a Tudong trek in Lao. By this time, their attitude to Lumpal was much changed, and they tried to persuade him to accompany them. But Lumpal declined. A nagging problem had now arisen in his meditation, and he needed to seek expert advice. Parting ways with his companions of the past few months, he made his way to Langka Mountain in order to visit Ajahn Wang, a disciple of Longpo Man. I'd reach so far and then stop. I'll make a comparison. It was as if I was walking along and then stopped, sank down to the ground and was unable to proceed. Then I'd go back. I'm talking about my awareness, you understand, about my mind. I persevered, but I just keep coming back to this same place and find myself at an impasse, halted. That was one kind of feeling. The other was like this. I'd actually collide with a barrier before turning back. I kept up my walking and sitting meditation, but I keep finding myself back at the same place. What is this? I asked myself. Whatever it is, just ignore it, came the reply. After a fairly long time, it ceased, but shortly afterwards, it returned. There was a constant demand for an answer in my mind. What is this? During the day, outside of meditation sessions, this question would be there. My mind was disturbed and kept pressing for an answer. I didn't see this thing for what it was, not to the extent of being able to let it go, and so my mind kept following it around. I started to consider who might be able to help me with my problem, and I thought of Ajahn Wang, who I had heard was living on top of Langka Mountain with a couple of novices. I didn't know him personally, but thought that he must have had some kind of accomplishment to be able to live in such a way. Lumpal climbed up the mountain and spent 3 nights discussing Dhamma with Ajahn Wang. Many years later, he related their first conversation. Ajahn Wang said, "Once I was walking. I stopped and contemplated my body sinking down through the ground into the earth. I asked him, 'Were you fully aware of what was happening, Ajahn?' He replied, 'I was aware. How could I not be? I was aware.' I kept sinking further and further down. I told myself to just let things take their own course. Then I reached the furthest point and started to rise up again. But when I reached the surface, my body didn't stop there. Within moments, I was way up in the air. I just maintained my awareness. It was amazing how such a thing could be happening. I rose and rose until I reached the level of the treetops, and then my body exploded. Boom! And then there were my intestines, hanging like garlands from the tree branches. I said, "Are you sure it wasn't a dream, Ajahn?" Ajahn Wang shook his head. No, it wasn't a dream. If I hadn't maintained my presence of mind, then it might have carried me with it. It really happened in that way. As it took place, I perceived it to be real. To this day, I still remember it as something that actually happened. When nimittas can be of that magnitude, then what is there to say about any lesser kinds? If your body exploded, how would you feel? What if you saw your guts all wrapped around a tree? It was an incredible experience. But I realized that it was a nimitta. I was firm in that. I was confident that there was nothing that could harm me. Then I focused my awareness on the mind itself, and soon the vision disappeared. Then I sat thinking, what was that? Ajahn, I've come to pay my respects to you because I'm at a complete loss of what to do. My experience is different from yours. It's as if I'm walking on a truncated bridge that doesn't reach to the other side of the river. I stop. There's no way ahead, and I don't know what to do. And so I turn around and go back. This is during my meditation. Or sometimes I carry on right to the end, but there's nowhere to go, and so I return. Other times, there's some kind of obstacle blocking the path, and I collide with it. I can't go any further. It's been like this for a long time now. What is it, Ajahn? Ajahn Wang explained it to me. It's the end. It's the furthest limit of perception. When it occurs, in whatever form, just stand right there and be aware of that perception. If you stand right there, it will be resolved. It will change by itself without the need for any force. Simply be aware of the nature of the perception and the state of your mind. Focus your awareness, and then shortly the perception will change. It will change rather like the perceptions of a child change into those of an adult. As a child, you like to play with toys, but as an adult, you see those toys and you have no wish to play with them. You play with other things. Oh, I see now. Ajahn Wang said, don't speak too soon. There's so many things that can happen. So many things. Just remember that in samadhi, anything can happen. But whatever occurs, it doesn't matter as long as you don't get caught in doubts about it. When you can maintain that awareness, then these phenomena start to lose their significance. The conditioning power of the mind peters out. Maybe you look closely and see a duck, and before long the duck is changed into a chicken. You keep your eyes on the chicken, and within moments it changes into a dog. You watch the dog, and then it's a pig. It's confusing. There's no end to it. Focus on the mind. Concentrate on it. But never think you've come to the end of these kind of phenomena, because before long they'll return. But you keep putting them down. You merely acknowledge them and let go. Then there's no danger whatsoever. Focus on them in that way so that your mind has a solid base. Don't chase after them. Once you've solved this problem, then you'll be able to carry on. There will be a gap to pass through. Old perceptions or any new ones that arise in the future are all of the same basic nature. It's merely that some are more vivid and powerful than others. But no matter how marvelous or sublime such visions might be, don't make anything of them. That's just the way they are. You must really cultivate this understanding. I asked him, why is it that some people seem to have no problems? They don't suffer at all. They meet no obstacles and everything goes smoothly for them. Ajahn Wang said, it's the result of karma. For you, this is a time of struggle. When the mind converges, then there's contention for the throne. Not everything that is contending is bad, mind you. Some things are good, some are pleasurable, but they're all dangerous. Don't give importance to any of them. Lumpo's mind was cleared of doubts. He felt a great surge of energy and spent the next few days practicing vigorously day and night, hardly stopping to rest. His mind was now able to go beyond the barriers it had erected for itself. He was able to investigate the 4 elements of solidity, cohesion, vibration, and heat that constitute the physical world, as well as both the true and conventional nature of reality. After 3 nights, Lumpo paid his respects to Ajahn Wang and resumed his journeying. He reflected on the value of a wise friend. Yes, you can practice on your own, but it can be slow going. When you have only your own way of looking at things, you can get caught in a circle going round and round a particular problem. But if there's someone to point out the way, it's quick. There's a new path of contemplation to pursue. That's how it is for everyone. When we get stuck, we stick tight. I walked down from Longkhan Mountain, and at its base I came to a deserted monastery. Just then it started to rain. I went to take shelter underneath the wooden Dhamma hall. As I contemplated the elements, the mind suddenly became firm. Immediately, it was as if I'd entered another world. Whatever I looked at was changed. I felt that the kettle in front of me was not a kettle. The spittoon was transformed, and so was my bowl. Everything had changed its state, in the way that your hand seems to if you flip it over from front to back. It's like a cloud suddenly obscuring the blazing sun. It happens in a flash. I saw a bottle, and it wasn't a bottle. It wasn't anything. It was just elements. It had only a conventional reality. It wasn't a true bottle. The spittoon wasn't a true spittoon. The glass wasn't a true glass. Everything had changed. It changed back and forth, and then I brought the awareness inwards. I looked at everything in my body as not belonging to me, but as all possessing a merely conventional reality. As a result of this experience, Lumpal summarized, "Don't be hesitant in your practice. Give it everything you've got. Make the mind resolute. Keep practicing. However much you listen to Dhamma talks, however much you study, although the knowledge that results may be correct, it doesn't reach the truth itself. And if that's the case, then there's no end to doubts and hesitation. But when the truth is realized, there's completion. Then whatever anyone might say or think on the subject is irrelevant. It is naturally and irrevocably just that way. Others may laugh or cry, be happy or sad, but when the natural mind has arisen, is completely unwavering. The mind that has entered the stream is not easy to distinguish from the mind of someone crazy. The two are very similar. They both deviate from the norm, but they differ in the qualities they possess." So those are my readings. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, please direct them to Lumpal and Ajahn Grunadamo.
Did you ever hear that story directly from Lumpur?
Not directly, no. I mean, Lumpal was a great storyteller, and many of his great teachings or things that he's related took place underneath his kuti, completely unstructured, and you never knew when anything was happening. And but yeah, so it's all very spontaneous. So I mean, we're fortunate we saved as much as we did, but that was definitely his style. And so sometimes he'd be giving teachings or giving advice or relating things about practice to, whether it was to monastics or to lay people, and be all in a quite informal situation. So yeah, I missed a lot. Okay, it looks pretty quiet, and definitely enough to reflect on in both of those readings. It's the Ballad of the Liberation of the Khandas is one of my most favorite lines of say the Dhamma is the Dhamma, Khandas are the Khandas. That's all. It's just so straight, enough to contemplate for a long time. So we can do that.